Buying your first rental feels overwhelming until you see the whole plan laid out in 7 simple steps. If you're working on improving your finances and you're wondering what the next step could look like, I am hosting a free workshop that shows a simple, beginner-friendly path to buying your first property, even if you don't know where to start. If you want clarity instead of overwhelm, you can join using the link in the description. Now, the first thing is to really get at your mindset, the right mindset, and forming at that, and also just forming your goals, really important. So first, we're going to decide, are you looking to cash flow or more appreciation? So cash flow, you're going to get that in maybe not the best neighborhoods, because the best neighborhoods, you might find that they're very expensive properties. So the actual extra rent doesn't really justify the extra amount of money you got to spend to actually on your mortgage, things like that. Whereas, let's say in other areas that are cheaper, you're going to get decent rent, but the properties are much cheaper. So the kind of the ratio there is much different. So cash flow, again, that can be what you're after. Great. Maybe you're looking at something more short-term, even short-term renting. Appreciation, on the other hand, this you're going to get in good areas or up-and-coming areas, whereas it might be a little difficult in lesser desirable neighborhoods. So it could be wealth, that's your thing. I think wealth is a great way. I love appreciation over other things. That's my personal favorite. I do love cash flow. I started with cash flow. I like to combine the two, but that's using multiple approaches, stacking. Just do one at a time. Now, another thing you can think about is house hacking. So, there you're thinking about living in one of the units and using your other unit to basically give you the money for the mortgage. So it could be they're living in a duplex, you live in one, rent out the other, triplex, live in one, rent out the other 2, quadplex, live in one, rent out the other 3. Even in a single family, you can think about maybe renting out, having lodgers, etc., that are sharing, that are paying a bit of the rent, a bit of the mortgage for you. So house hacking is a great approach when you're starting off. Now, in terms of the way you make money from it, you could be thinking of renting it out long-term, medium-term, which is in between, let's say less than a year, more than a month, and then short-term, less than a month. Fully furnished, typically speaking, short-term. Airbnb, VRBO, that kind of thing. That's depending on the market, depending on the legal aspect, and your tolerance for risk, vacancies, work. It's a job at that point unless you outsource it. It's a different business altogether. So choosing your goals. How much time do you have? Probably if you don't have much time, short-term rental might not be for you. Unless you can set up the systems like I have. And so I've got my time back now, but I have some short-term as well as medium-term rental properties. So again, decide all these things and come into it with a good mindset. It will work for you, but you have to adopt that millionaire mindset right from the start. You don't want to come across, not too friendly, kind of shoulders up like this, not wanting to talk to anybody, not talking, you need to explain to the world, this is what I'm doing. So it could be like going to open houses, meeting real estate agents, talking on the phone, or having a friend or loved one, family member do that, help that with you if that's not your thing, right? So kind of mixing the personal, the qualitative, the emotional with the quantitative is excellent. So the next thing is, once we kind of have our mindset and our goals, what we want to do, like, are we looking for freedom? Are we looking to get extra income? Like, how fast do we want to do this? Are we hustlers or just more sort of side income, passive income? How do we want to do it? The next thing is, all right, basic ideas aside, let's actually do something. Let's do something real right now. This is getting pre-approved. Step 2, talk to a lender. Just Google them, look at reviews, learn your buying power. So you want to know, what is the size of your wallet? What can you afford? There's no point in looking at properties you cannot afford, right? But there's no point assuming that you cannot afford them either. Like, I recently thought I couldn't afford $1, and the next thing they told me I could qualify for over $1.55 million. So you can talk to a lender. That'll help you understand, just like, hey, I'm looking to buy my first property, wondering what documents you need me to send over so that you can approve me. And if you have any, first-time buyer offers, that'd be great. So again, look at a lender, talk to the lender before you shop. You don't have to stick with them. You're not committing for life. This is not, old-fashioned marriage, etc. This is basically just, you're just ringing up, you're just getting an idea. Yes, they will ask you if you want to do a soft or rather a hard pull on the credit. Yes, it will affect your credit, but this is something you're going to have to do if you want to get a mortgage and you want to figure out what you can afford. And it kind of gets you into like, well, I have to do it now, right? So like, I found that the hard way. I found that basically me setting up an LLC and getting into a business and paying rent kind of forced me, oh, now if I don't do it, like, I had the kind of fire under my feet, if you will, to do it. So sometimes the best thing is just to start like that. That's how I did it, and it worked for me, and hopefully it works for you. Now, this third step is to get your deal criteria. Now we're going to get into speed here, because now that we've gone to the lender, like time is money now, so deal criteria. Pick a market. Where? Like what kind of market? Safe neighborhood, expensive neighborhood, or maybe less desirable, like lower income, etc. Maybe you're going in there, you got some skills, or maybe in between, kind of working class, or maybe even middle class. So where are we? Is it mountain type? Is it like resort? Is it suburb? Is it military? Is it tourism? Is it college? Like what's the actual type? Is it abroad, foreign? Is it local? Is it out of state? More advanced. What kind of property type then? What are you looking for? Single family, where there's one family that's occupying the unit? Could be apartment, could be a twin where you're sharing a wall, or a row house, or a townhome. There can be kind of, where you're sharing at least one, maybe even two walls, and there's a bunch of you in a row. Or it could be a single family detached, right, where there's no walls, right? Your typical American suburb, like, picket fence or in the middle of nowhere, as long as there's one family. Now, multifamily, now we're buying apartments, multiple of them simultaneously. So we're buying, let's say, a duplex, a building that has two units that are separated, usually through a wall or a floor, so that each of them has a kitchen, etc. They're both two different units, you can rent them. Triplex, now you got three. Quadplex, I'm buying now, fourplex, got four. Right, and above that, you're into commercial financing. You're kind of getting your 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like, your 10 plexes. Now you're getting in the bigger world, 20, 50, 100, 200, 300, etc. So property type, maybe you're looking for something completely different, a bit of commercial, a bit of land, whatever that is. So look at your budget. Like, if you know from your pre-qualification days, like what you can afford, you can also look at your budget, etc. in terms of, well, what are your savings like? So you could use a cash app. You could use, something like an app like the Wealth Builders Toolkit, which is one of the things I offer, totally free. But you don't have to use mine. You can use the Empower, Empower app as well as other ones is good. So whatever works your boat, you could do it in the spreadsheet. But again, if you look at the one I have, the Wealth Builders Toolkit, this is basically a spreadsheet. This is basically showing you how to basically put everything in. So all you want here is just like, what is your income, what is your saving, etc. Your credit, you can get that from somewhere like annualcreditreport.com. What's the cash flow target, by the way? Like, so this is my budget, this is what I'm willing to spend, this is what I can spend on rehab, but what do I want to make? Do I want to have a negative hold? Very few people want to have a negative hold, right? But can I afford to? Maybe you've got other income somewhere else and you're just holding the property based on appreciation and other things. Maybe the write-off, etc., that you're getting from tax negates it. Maybe there's other things like depreciation, things like that. So it could be that you're negative. Usually zero is kind of good, like you're holding it and you're just watching it grow. Positive, now we're talking. Now we're getting passive income, hopefully. It's never truly passive, but positive cash flow. So cash flow is just your income minus your expenses. So we're thinking, okay, well, after everything, am I actually making some money on this, right? So that's kind of looking at you're coming in all the time, every month. So cash flow target for you, maybe you want to make 1,000 a month, 500 a month, $100 a month. You need to get a bigger property or do some kind of thing like short-term renting if you want to get like more money. It's an area where you've bought cheap, so it could be like a Section 8 housing, or it could be, Class D or even Class C, like in a kind of a more working class area where the properties aren't too expensive, so the mortgage is cheaper, but the rent doesn't really come down a lot relative to more expensive areas, where the price usually jumps a lot. The rent doesn't always. So in a more expensive area, especially at the Class A, the top areas, there, the price of the property, you're not probably going to cash flow as much. Now you can if you come in with a big down payment. That the more you put into the property, the less you're financing, so your cash flow, because you're paying a lower mortgage, your cash flow will be healthier. So it's up to you. Do you want to make, like, maybe you want to get to 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 100,000 a month. Now you're going to be getting multiple properties over time. That's a good, look, it's okay to aspire. It's okay to do these things, right? Like I know some people here, they're making like a few 100,000 a month from real estate. They have 1,000-2,000 units, right? So they're in the game 40, 50 years. So, time in the market. So If you feel overwhelmed trying to buy your first property, that's not your fault. YouTube, podcasts, TikTok, everybody's giving you different advice. Most beginners don't need more information. They need a clear, calm starting plan that actually makes sense. If you want to finally understand the beginner path, join my free workshop. Tap the link and grab your seat. Beyond the deal criteria, right? The next thing is, okay, that's what I want, that's my target, that's what I'm looking for. Now let's analyze. We kind of know what the bullseye looks like. Now let's actually look at specific properties. So let's look at rent. What is the rent the property renting for? What could you rent this property? If it's single family, look at some comparable things in the area. If it's a multifamily, what is it renting for originally? Can you ask the owner, please give me the rent roll, etc. Like, can you show me what the income was last year? What about the expenses? Maybe they can give you the T12 if it's a bigger property, or you can get an idea from what's the tax. You can even look up, like, at a ballpark on Zillow or whatever, look at the tax in the area. Maybe you can ask an insurance company for a quote, roughly speaking. Have an idea if they're willing to share the OPEX, the operating expenses, what are the utilities like? Maybe you can project, if you're living in the area, what you think the utilities would be. You get better at this with time. That's where your team is really helpful. So getting expenses, super important. You will get the rents, the income, 100%. The expenses are going to be a little more vague because you get surprises all the time. Even the owner will get surprises. They can go up and go down depending on what happens this year, like your repairs, your maintenance. You get that other videos I have talking about that in more detail. So, is it 5% for vacancies or 5% for, let's say, maintenance management? There's all, there's the kind of management, you get 5% usually, could be 10% depending on the company, but the actual other things like maintenance could be something like 1 to 2% of the property price per year. So divide by 12 per month. So if it's a $100,000 property, that's $1,000 per year. So about $866 per month expected. Some months there's nothing. Some months it's a few thousand. Should work out like that. That's just a rule of thumb. Can vary, but it's just a basic placeholder for you guys to start off with. Your mortgage, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, that's what you pay for the mortgage. So you're paying principal down, paying your interest on your loan, paying your taxes, and paying your insurance. So that's your mortgage. Also having some reserves. You want to have it reserved for capital expenditures. So not just repairing, like fixing a broken sink, but actually proper stuff like the roof repairing, maybe replacing windows, maybe some foundation work, big ticket items. So CapEx or capital expenditures, usually reserves, again, depending on how risk averse you are. It could be 3 months to 6 months. I like saying 6 months. Could be 6 months of the mortgage, that PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance, or operating expenses. Maybe you want to think about a multifamily where it's $300 to $500 per door per month, plus your actual PITI. So it could be I like having 6 months of my reserves. So 6 months of operating expense. So if I'm spending $2,000 on average a month, then having $12,000. If it's like $8,000 a month, then it's $48,000, right? So stay conservative. Better to kind of look at the bigger, like err on the side of bigger numbers for expenses, like just so that it could be worse, right? So err on those sides and err on kind of not expecting great rents, bringing in vacancy. I mean, it's 5% vacancy. Maybe it's even more if it's in an area that doesn't rent that well. Look at the average vacancy in your area. Look at the historical figures. You can get the actual owner of the current property. If it's short-term, medium-term, different kettle of fish. So again, analyze deals. It's a whole other thing. In terms of making offers, next step, step 5, at some point, you just got to get skin in the game. You got to do it. And, you're never going to get a property just sort of standing in the sidelines, right? It's like looking at the herds, right? The lion wanting to eat a prey, etc. They're just looking at the herd going by. They're not just sitting there. They get bored. They don't do anything. They go, you know what? I'm just going to sit down and do nothing, right? They're going to starve. The same way, right, with you in real estate. At some point, you got to make it pounce. You got to jump. Now, the great thing is you don't have to hit all the balls, like if it was something like baseball where like 3 strikes you're out. You can watch the balls come back. You can watch deals all day long and analyze until you get a sweet deal. When you get a sweet deal, the numbers make sense, you feel good for the property. Now you can make an offer, and you're going to learn more writing one offer than watching 100 hours of YouTube. So here's where it really counts in step 5. So a good real estate agent will help you making your offer. What's a price, a good price? How do you put in the contingencies, all the different escape clauses, if you will, right? So you can leave it. How do you get a good offer? How do you get the offer, the seller to even agree to your offer, right? There's all kinds of tricks depending on if it's a good market, a hot market. Maybe there's lots of buyers. Maybe there's few. maybe you can come in really low. You can lowball, right? It's a fixer-upper, right? Because there's fewer people wanting to buy fixer-uppers than there are wanting to buy turnkeys, properties that are just turn the key, it's ready, like mom and dad kind of thing. It's beautiful, it's all good to go. Ooh, looks great. Yeah, there's going to be lots of buyers for those properties. There's not going to be lots of buyers for fixer-uppers. You'll get some buyers for sure, but it's a different type. It's investors, right? People that are a little scared. And there's less investors, especially with the single families. So you will learn more by just doing it. Step number 6, inspections. So now you got the offer accepted, you're under contract, and you're kind of trying to close. So when you're under contract, this is where you protect yourself, not where you get burned. Having the inspections and contingencies, having, for instance, home inspections where you get a third-party, professional, licensed home inspector with years of experience to come out to look at the property and give you a full detailed breakdown of what he thinks or she thinks is right or wrong with the property. Like these are, green, these are yellow, these are red flags, etc. Right? They did the lights, right? So we can see all the different issues, and you can walk away. If the wind blows the way you don't like it, you can walk away if you have it in the contingencies. So it's all to do with your realtor. Again, this is not advice, just my opinion. You might know I've been doing it for almost a decade at this point, so take that out what you will. But again, this is just my opinion, so this is what has worked for me. So again, with the inspections, if you have a really good real estate agent, a good buyer's agent, this is where they make their money, right? So they really help you where you make your money in a sense. This is kind of lowering your risk, having those contingencies, those escape clauses. Yes, you might get the deal if you don't have it, if you waive it, but then you're going to be hit with kind of issues. And if you're the one that's going to take the liability. You're the buyer, not the real estate agent that's trying to encourage you, right? So you're the buyer. When you have the property, it's all going to be on you. So the closing, right? Then you're coming up with the money, all the different things you got to do between then and closing, getting your mortgage approved if you're going through a mortgage, getting the appraisal coming in, making sure that the house is worth ballpark of what you're paying for, hopefully at least the same or more, so that you actually do get the mortgage full. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to bridge finance the deal. It's going to be difficult. So step number 7, finally you've got that. You've got in, gone through your inspections, got the closing, signed the paperwork, nothing went too badly. You've now got the keys, got into the property, it's suddenly quiet. It's calm. Right? That was how I felt when I went into the property first. You can breathe for a second. Now what? Right? So now you can either renovate if it's a fixer or you want to do something. You can rent it out eventually. Now, not when you've got a single family home, or if you're buying an owner occupier, you got to live there for at least a year, but you can rent it, part of it out if it's a duplex, triplex, quadplex, you could live in one unit, or even rent some of the bedrooms out if you're living in a multi-bedroomed place, or, just have some lodgers if that's okay, but you've got to live there, of course. But you can turn it into a business. This is what you do. You're kind of renovating it, then renting it. If you have to renovate, by the way, then you're renting it, or you can do it, simultaneously, but the rent will go up if you have it renovated first, obviously. So you're going to be thinking about, how do I rent this out? Maybe it's a year from now, you leave, you move location, your job changes. Now you can convert that into a rental property. That's the goal eventually. Turn it into a business. Once you have a business, a system, so it's not you're kind of leaving the business. You're kind of, maybe you put in a property manager, they just deal with all the headaches so that you don't have to. Because when you do one property, you can manage it. When you're doing 50 properties, it's going to be quite challenging to manage all 50 properties, right? You've got no time. So I just like the stress-free life. This is what worked for me. I started managing it myself when I had my first property. I didn't own it, but I was running it. When I got into I actually bought a property. At that point, there were 2 rentals. And at that point, I was like, no, I don't want to be the only person. I was kind of hybrid manager. I had a management system at that point, but I was still kind of like doing stuff. And eventually, as it got bigger and bigger, I stepped back more and more. So you want to turn it into a system so that you're not creating a job for yourself. But you want to do this on repeat, because you kind of get stuck then. You're like, well, how can I ever own like one property? How do I own 2 properties, 3 properties, 4? This is where I got stuck after I bought my first property. I had a rental arbitrage, plus I owned a property. So I had 2 units that were making money for me. If this video is helping you understand this part of your financial journey, you'll get even more value from a free workshop I host for beginners. In this workshop, I walk you through a simple roadmap that shows how you can buy your first property with realistic savings and a lot less confusion. If you want to take everything you're learning on this channel and fit it into one clear plan, the link is in the description. It's completely free. Now what? Well, you can use the cash flow that you're getting, of course. If you're getting positive cash flow, you can use it to save, but you can also not just save it, but you can also, or invest it, you can also use the income to qualify you. Just like you used your regular income to qualify you for your first property, you can use the rental income to qualify you for a further property. Some lenders allow short-term, some don't. Long-term, typically pretty much all lenders allow long-term. They vary in terms of how long you need. Like, is it 2 years, 1 year, 6 months? Usually 2 years, rule of thumb, you definitely can qualify based on 2 years. And it depends on where you are, right? But they're going to qualify you based on that, but also equity. So they're going to look at, well, what's your debt like? What's your equity like? Do you own more of it? Great. You can also do what I do. When you're living there, you can take out a home equity line of credit, a HELOC. It's very, very good. When you've moved on, you can take out an RLOC, a rental equity line of credit. So in these cases, you need to own a significant percentage of the property's value. Now, the value could have gone up, and therefore the loan is only down here. It's only a small percentage, right? So you could have forced the value up through clever renovation, or it could have gone up with the market over the years, or you've paid down your loan. So as you own more and more, it opens up the percentage, a higher percent. So your equity is much bigger, right, relative to the overall property, and your debt is smaller. So you can take out a chunk of that. You can get qualified. You can, apply for a home equity line of credit if you live there, or a rental line of credit if you no longer live there, and you can apply for that like a credit card, but you can sometimes write checks. Based on that, they can tell you, oh yeah, $68,500, you can write up to that amount. They give you a checkbook, and they've appraised it. They've said, yeah, you're good, we'll give you this. You're given an interest rate, usually variable. You can pay interest only if you want to, so you want to pay it off fast, right? But it's something that can help you if you get into another property and you want to rehab it. Typically, you cannot do it when you're looking at a down payment. Again, talk to the lenders, talk to the mortgage. I've never done that. But after, sometimes, I'm doing properties up, I may dip into that. It's a good form of extra financing. Rather than selling stocks or things that I think are growing at like 10%, I might take something out at 7, 8%. It could be almost 10% sometimes, but it's short term. I don't want to sell thousands of dollars in stocks and lose all that compounding. So sometimes I do that. So turn it into a system, business system, rent it, repeat it. Use the cash flow either to qualify or to save and invest, and use the equity, either tapping it like a HELOC, etc., for the next property. And good luck with the repeating. If you want me personally to walk you through each step in detail, join my free live real estate training. I can't wait. So again, guys, you don't have to do this all at once. You can do this one property at a time. So let's build your wealth one property at a time, and I'll see you in the next one.